So it was May 2014, right smack dab in the middle of a contentious Republican primary race in Mississippi, when suddenly this fairly awful headline popped up in the local paper, in the Clarion Ledger. Quote, man arrested for sneaking into Senator Thad Cochran's wife's nursing home. Three Tea Party guys in Mississippi were arrested for a scheme that involved taking pictures of Senator Thad Cochran's elderly, ailing wife as she laid asleep in the nursing home she has lived in for the past 15 years. That's gross. If there was a silver lining to that grossness at the time, it was that the pictures they surreptitiously took of that elderly woman in a nursing home, those images never got into wide circulation. But it was not for lack of trying, particularly by one fringy figure in a far-right corner of the very far-right media, a man who offered $1,000 for any photo of Thad Cochran's wife in the nursing home. Quote, I will publish it. That tickly feeling you now feel in the back of your throat is your sense of decency trying to escape your body and get some fresh air. But that scandal is how a lot of the world met this guy. That's kind of the way he operates. It's the stuff he does. Eventually last year, after he tried to solicit people online to, quote, take out a particular civil rights activist he decided he didn't like, he was finally sidelined by more mainstream conservative media outlets. He was actually banned from Twitter, never to be heard from on Twitter again. Until this month, when the Donald Trump for President campaign decided to rehabilitate him. They decided that they would use that guy as their defense in this event, which happened a few weeks ago at an event at the Trump National Golf Course in Jupiter, Florida. A woman named Michelle Fields reports for a conservative website. At that event, she tried to ask Mr. Trump a question. As she approached the candidate, she says a man grabbed her arm very firmly and nearly pulled her to the ground. She later tweeted this photo of bruises on her arm, which she says were pursuant to being grabbed by that person. A reporter at the Washington Post basically confirmed her account, says he was there contemporaneously when it happened, and that he talked to the reporter immediately after the incident about what she had experienced. The person who the reporter herself and the Washington Post corroborator say did this was Donald Trump's campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. You see there on the left. The way that Mr. Lewandowski responded to the allegations from this reporter was that he basically decided to try to ruin her reputation. He spent a whole day tweeting lurid allegations about her, including posts from the creepy will publish your nursing home photos guy who's no longer allowed on Twitter. This is Mr. Trump's campaign manager citing articles by arguably the world's creepiest blogger in exile. This is how they made their argument in this case. This is how they attempted to personally discredit the reporter who she says was manhandled by the Trump campaign manager. Mr. Trump's campaign manager also tweeted to the reporter at the time, quote, you are totally delusional. I never touched you. Donald Trump himself also told reporters that he thought this reporter had made up the whole thing. Now today, though, there is new tape of the incident, which certainly appears to show Corey Lewandowski touching that reporter. This tape was released today by the police department of Jupiter, Florida, where Mr. Trump's campaign manager turned himself into police today after facing one charge of simple battery. That is a misdemeanor charge of which Mr. Lewandowski's lawyer says Mr. Lewandowski is, quote, absolutely innocent. Now, lest you think that that tape is unreliable or suspect or contested in some way, candidate Donald Trump himself says that he's actually very proud of that tape. Here's the very first thing Mr. Trump said today when asked about his campaign manager turning himself into the police to face this charge this morning.
I can only say Corey's a fine person. I looked at the tape, but the tapes were supplied by me. You know, those tapes, just so you understand. This is a very high-end club, and we had tapes all over the place, so we supplied those tapes. The tape was given by me because my places are very successful, and I have cameras all over the ceiling. That tape was given by me.
Donald Trump has only the best tapes. Very beautiful tapes. Huge tapes. Big league. Big league. Big league. Anyway, now that we have this huge tape, the argument from the Trump camp is no longer that the campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, never touched reporter Michelle Fields. Now their argument is, hey, the touching wasn't that bad. Mr. Trump today said there was no chargeable offense on that tape. He said reporters get roughed up much worse than that in your average media scrum. He said maybe Michelle Fields faked the bruises on her arm, that she was grabbing at him, Donald Trump, and maybe he, Donald Trump, should file charges against her. However you feel about the nature of the touching of that reporter by Donald Trump's campaign manager, that campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, and Donald Trump and the Trump campaign, up until today, maintained that no touching ever happened. Now police say it did, and the charge has been filed. And so the campaign manager for the Republican presidential frontrunner has just been arrested. What happens now?